Hello, my name is Daniel, and welcome to my channel, Live to Read. Today, I'll be doing a book review with spoilers of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. This book was actually serialized in a newspaper for 2 years, from 1844 to 1846, then eventually published into a full-size book, which has never been out of print. Alexandre Dumas also has the fame of writing The Three Musketeers. I'm familiar of the Count of Monte Cristo. I know it's about a young man being falsely imprisoned and exacting his revenge. But just like most people, I never wanted to bother with the book because it was so huge. It is intimidating. This book is over 1,000 pages, but I finally got over myself and committed, and I finished the book, and I'm so glad I did. This is absolutely incredible story. And then speaking of book, this edition is a gorgeous book. This is from Barnes and Noble. Has the cool gold pages. Sort of reminds me of a Bible. So the premise for this book, this takes place time after the French Revolution, and Napoleon Bonaparte has been removed from power, and he's been exiled to an island called Elba near Italy. And then, if you're a citizen, if you're found out that you're a sympathizer or you're in league with Napoleon, it's a crime and you can go to jail. So it starts out with a young man, 19 or 20 years old. His name is Edmond Dantes, and he's a first mate on a ship. And the ship is actually sailing to Elba to deliver a packet to the Grand Marshal. And on this trip, the captain unfortunately dies from brain fever, but Edmund is able to complete the task. And then when they get to Elba, he delivers the packet, and in return, he's given a letter to bring back to France. And then once Edmund has returned, he is celebrated for his success for completing the mission or the task by the ship's owner. And then the ship's owner is talking to Edmund about possibly promoting him to ship's captain. And then slowly but surely, you're going to be introduced to pretty much four antagonists. And they all want the same thing. They want Edmund out of the picture. So the first antagonist you meet is Danglars. He is a crew on the ship with Edmund, and he's jealous that for Edmund for being so young, he's going to be promoted possibly to ship's captain. And he himself wants that promotion. So Edmund eventually leaves, goes into town to visit his ailing father. Then here you're going to be introduced to a second antagonist. His name is Caderousse. He's a neighbor to the father, and he has sort of his own motives, but just like Danglars, he's envious of Edmund. So after visiting his father, you slowly are introduced to his Edmund has a girlfriend by the name of Mercedes who's patiently waiting for his return. And then while waiting, Mercedes has a cousin, and this is going to be the third antagonist. His name is Ferdinand. And Ferdinand is in love with Mercedes, and he's trying to convince Mercedes that she does not know how long Edmund will be, how long he'll be at sea. He might possibly never return. That she needs to marry Ferdinand. She needs to marry him instead. But Mercedes just plays it off. She's loyal to Edmund, and then shortly after, to their surprise, Edmund shows up. And he tells Mercedes about his success and that he possibly might be promoted to ship's captain, which he ends up being promoted. And so they both decide, with his success, that they need to get married. And they want to plan sort of a special dinner, get all their friends and family together, and they eventually take off. So Caderousse, Danglars, and Ferdinand all know each other, and they get together, and they all figure out they have the same thing in common. They need to get rid of Edmund to get what they want in return. And what they end up doing is writing a letter accusing Edmund of going to Elba and being a Napoleon sympathizer. And they get sent off to the police. And then so a day has gone by. They're having the dinner. All the friends and family are there, including Caderousse, Danglars, and Ferdinand. And then shortly after, the police show up and arrest Edmund. And so while Edmund is in jail, you meet a prosecutor of the crown. And this is the fourth antagonist. His name is Villefort. And initially, he doesn't believe that Edmund is a sympathizer, but he comes to find out that he has a letter. And then this sort of changes everything, because Villefort's has sort of a secret. The letter has something to do in regards to his father, Villefort's father, who is in league with Napoleon. And so Villefort panics, and he's worried that this will expose his father as well as expose himself and ruin his career. So he seals the fate for Edmund and puts him into jail. And then from this point, this is probably my favorite part of the entire book, is his time in jail. It goes from an extreme change. So, Edmund, he's in jail. He's, like I say, he's 19 or 20. He is in jail for 14 years and he comes out by the time he's in his 30s. So while in jail, obviously he had his lowest lows. He's hoping things are going to work out, but they never do. But he meets a fellow prisoner by the name of Abbe. And then Abbe, just like him, is a political prisoner. And then what he's been doing this whole time, while he has been he's been trying to tunnel his way out, Abba, but he's had no luck. But he ends up tunneling his way into Edmund's cell, where they get to know each other, and they slowly but surely develop a rapport. And Abba becomes almost like a father figure to Dante's. And then through this time, he sort of teaches Edmund about life, and more or less about science, math. He teaches him about world languages, and then through all this time, he helps him figure out who is responsible for why he is in prison through sort of almost deduction. And then Edmund, he has this sort of epiphany of that it was these four people, and he wants to get his revenge. And then Abbe explains to him that he actually, he used to work for a royal family in Italy, and and they left in the will a family treasure to Abba, and it's on an island called Monte Cristo, and they want to share. He wants to share the treasure with Edmund. And then while they are trying to still plan their escape, unfortunately, Abba passes away. But Edmund manages to escape prison and get his hands on the treasure. And then from this point of the book, it's, I'd say 3/4 of the book is about his revenge. Initially I thought it was straight up, he's going to get his revenge with a sword and a gun, but it's far from it. It's he sort of becomes the persona of the Count of Monte Cristo, and he is, a man of the world. And the way he gets his revenge is in a grand scale. He does it from a larger picture. It's very cool and calculated, and it's very fascinating how he does it. It's more of a, almost like karma in a way, just to explain it, but I don't want to spoil it. But it was absolutely incredible. If you're looking just for a story that will it's just sort of grandioso, you'll completely be absorbed into it. This is the book. Like I said, it's worth the hype. I did not want it to end. It's a beautiful story, incredible characters, well written, extremely detailed, just absolutely fantastic. And I would highly recommend The Count of Monte Cristo. And just, for me, like, I just took my time. I read 20, 30 pages, and I slowly chipped away. And it took me a couple months, but yeah, I'm so glad I read this book. It's fantastic. And if you enjoy the content, please like, comment, subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by.